Now, hear me out. Allow me to run you through a little situation, or a little hypothetical situation, huh? So, you're walking along, and then you realize that you're very Christian, you know? I did it one day, so I assume it happened for most people. So, you go along, and it's like how are you so Christian? Like somebody asks you this, and you're like, well, I just want to be Christian, and you're like, that makes no sense. And then you turn around and you're like, what? Who are you? And you're like, oh my, I'm you. And you're like, whoa, how is that possible? And then you go along, you talk to yourself a little while, and then you realize he was never there, and he was part of your imagination, and you were just talking to no one this entire time. That's right. You're all alone. There's no one around, and there was no one ever there. What do you do? What do you do? I'll tell you what I'd do. I would just be like, what the frick? What the frick, guys? What the frick?
Huh. What the frick? I hate this. Why don't you add a choice to me? I'm gonna leave this server. I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna restart.
Yeah, I developed a new saying. That reminds me of, like, saying quitting. It reminds me of this new phrase I've been coming up with. Like, every time, like, somebody annoys me or anything like that, I'll just look them in the eye and I just say, kill yourself. And respawn. Yeah. You thought I was just going to say that? No. There's a silver lining to it. So if you just tell them to kill themselves and then respawn, it makes it automatically better. Clearly. I mean, no, it doesn't. Don't ever tell them to kill themselves, okay? You never know when they might actually just, like, do it. I would know. I was a victim of bullying. When I was a young boy, I was running around on the stage waiting for all the classes to start, and I was like, whoa, blah, 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 running around sounds. And the three big men, they weren't that big, they were about my size. They all one held my feet, one held my arms, and it was like one of those stretching torture devices, and I was like, oh no, what are you gonna do? And they punched me in the balls, and they did it like 3 times, and there was no teachers around, and I didn't tell anybody about it because it was just very embarrassing. Like that was what was running through my mind, that it was just embarrassing, and not the fact that it was probably like illegal in at least like 2 to 3 countries, and they'd probably be burned at the stake or something, and that probably should have been more on my priorities, but it's all a matter of perspective at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Like if you have an apple and a tomato mixed together with a blueberry, you're probably gonna get like a smoothie, a good smooth, like you gotta blend it all together, and you got kind of the salty taste for some reason. Kind of you get a banana. If you fork times spoon equals spork plus knife equals sporife. Sknife. There are a few situations where that happens, but otherwise, let me be real with you. My teeth are like yellow, like the sun. Like I look up at the sun, and I look down at my teeth. I stretch my eyebrows out, and I'm just like, man, they're so yellow. And it's, you know why they're so yellow? I'll tell you the truth. Throughout every waking second of my life, I have had to brush my teeth, and it's gotten to the point where they bleed and they die in a matter of like minutes, lots of minutes, and it's well, to tell you the truth, they became yellow. They yellowed as my gums bled upon my furrowed teeth. They bled, and they became yellow. That is the reason they are yellow. There is multiple other possible reasons, but that is the conclusion that I have perceived within my mind cells. But hopefully it's true. Just like I kind of hope that one time where I was eating a burger at Burgerville was also true. I thought about it and I was like, is it true? I can only hope it is, because whenever I tell that story, it only probably becomes less true in my mind. Like, did it actually happen? Like, you think it'd become more true the more I tell it, but no. I'm not even convincing myself. Like, it's so fake. It's so fake and unreal and uncool. How could it possibly ever be real? It's kind of like Mickey Mouse. You ever think about Mickey Mouse? I kind of think about him often. But otherwise, there was one time where I had a whole bunch of just like volume controls, you know? And I was watching the Clifford movie. I was watching Clifford, the movie, right? And then it came to my attention like, what? This movie, it's not loud enough. And me and my brother, we both agreed this movie is not loud enough. And so we picked up all those volume controls and we janked that tank up all the way, bro. Like all the way, like it went to such an extreme degree that I was just like, wow, this movie is loud. And so we blew out our eardrums, which is why I have no longer any wax contracting within my ear orifices. Like that was the key. Like I asked my doctor about volume control, and he said it's a viable option if you want to bust some nuts in your drums, but it's hopefully it works out in the end. But it's moments like these where I look at myself and hold on, let me get a good look. And let's see. Very thin hair, lots of crinkles on the forehead. You know, somebody brought up once, like, you have very pretty eyes, you know. They looked at me and they were just like, wow, I like your eyes. And then me being the confounded buffoon that I am, I was like, okay, so? Even though I probably should have been like, oh, thank you. I was just like, no! Why? Why are they so pretty? And they were like, and they got scared and ran away. Like, and they screamed and they triumphed in my defeat. But that's a story for another time. Anyway, I've been kind of thinking about like pickled melons. That's a subject my mom brought up recently. Like, her friend was like pickling melons, and at first she was like, "What is this?" And me too. I mean, I wasn't there, but if I was in that situation, I'd been like, "What the heck? What the freaking heck?" And they were just like, "No, it's pretty good." I don't know how they discovered this or why they tried it in the first place. But my mom, when she was in this situation, she was like, okay. And then she tried it, and she was like, it was pretty scrumptious, pretty good. And I was like, what? you thought it was good? And she was like, yeah, 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 yeah. And I was like, it seems that I'll have to try this delectable thing. And she was like, And I was wondering, like, but how do I do this? How do I pickle melons? And she was like, I don't know. I didn't ask. And I thought about, like, putting, like, a melon in a giant jar full of the pickle plant, the pickling plant, the little rind that sits inside the green juice. And I was like, but this was all in my mind, so it didn't happen. So instead, I didn't do anything. And I'm kind of waiting for my mommy to make Big Chunky so I can eat Big Chunky with permission from mommy. You know what I mean, bro? Like, hit him back up on the shelf, bro. Like, how breaking stink, bro. Stinky winky poo poo. Stinky pinky stinky poo poo. Stinky. Hey, you ever thought about like if you ever think like, okay, so the Boss Baby, right? Like, he's like a baby and he like shits himself. Like, do you ever think about like eating the shit? Like, not to bring up anything random or anything, but I've recently had a startling experience, and I really did not enjoy it. Actually, I could even say, like, it was the most terrifying thing I've had to go through. For instance, on YouTube there's a subsection. I don't know what to call it, but it's this very specific format where you have a guy, and we're seeing through his perspective, right? And then you have, oh God, it's so disturbing. And you have a picture of any random character that pertains to whatever subject or whatever character he is eating. That's right. He's eating characters or just whatever random wacky subject he comes up with. Like, recently I found like sand sandwich. Like, it's just a sandwich made of sand, and he has a cup right next to him that's full of sand, and the whole table's full of sand. And he takes it's very high quality audio, by the way. Like, he goes out of his way, like this is not one person, by the way. These are multiple people. He goes out of his way to really make sure that the sound connects to your inner psyche. And it really gets to you. It can really get to you on a personal level. Like, seriously. He just takes a, okay. So let me give you an example, okay? So he'll take a bite out of like a Minion character, right? Right? Hold on. Okay, this is a good example. He takes a bite out of a Minion character, and the Minion's like, he says his random Minion phrases, and then I assume what can only be him being he's like playing as Gru or something. He's like he strokes the Minion's naked ass. Okay, first of all, he crucifies the Minion. He pounds nails into the Minion's hands as the Minion continuously does the same voice line over and over. Like, It's the worst thing you ever heard. Like, he put so much effort into the chewing sound effects that he forgot to put an effort into anything else that the minion could possibly say. And then he I think he strips his thong off, and he's like, "Oh, aha! I got your underwear," but he doesn't say anything because, of course, who the hell would want to be known when you're doing this as your quote unquote job? And he strips his underwear, and then he eats it, and it's like and then he for some reason, I don't think at this, well, maybe it is, but I don't think at this point, like, the little minion in the picture frame is reacting to this. He doesn't find this to be disturbing in any way yet. And he's like, "Oh, ha ha! I'm just a minion with a wig, ha ha ha, ho ho." And then he takes a bite out of the minion's head, and you have an Among Us reference, and he's got a little bone sticking out of him, and he's like, "Whoa, ha, that's a pretty good reference right there." Like, oh my gosh, like what is this? This is so strange. Like, all I want is for him to eat the arms now, so that it actually looks like an Among Us reference. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna do it full on. But then, of course, he's not done. He's not done. He can't be done. So instead, he eats an arm, and you just think he's gonna complete the reference. There's no possible way he's gonna mess this reference up to Among Us. Such an iconic place and subject matter. But no, he screws it up. He eats the legs. And then he doesn't look like an Among Us character anymore. He just has the bone sticking out of his head. And I'm pretty sure he made this little minion ass bitch, and you know, he's making these little clay characters, these little minion clay characters, and it's like, what is this? Why do you put so much effort into this? Why do you upload almost weekly, or some channels they upload like daily? Why are you doing this? Sometimes they even they basically put two videos in one video, and it's like, what is this? Why is there so many? Why has this been going on so long? Why do you scroll down in the comments and they all say, "Oh, I remember watching this as a small child," even though at the beginning of every single video, no matter what channel you go to, it always says "not made for kids" and then something else. I don't remember what else because I don't care. You scroll down the comments, and all the 13-year-olds that they say they were once 7, and they say, "Oh man, you know, I used to really find this satisfying, and coming back to this now, it's just really nostalgic," as this man is literally like eating shit out of the Boss Baby's diaper because he couldn't capture the Boss Baby under his napkin when he lifted up the napkin, and then he is prone to just eating the shit out of the baby's diaper. Like, what? I am flabbergasted, my guy. Like, this is like Goofy Town stuff. Like, I don't even like. Does your mom condone this? Do you look at your mom and they were just like, "Oh, what do you want to watch on YouTube?" And they were like, "Oh, I don't know." And then mom just like clicked through YouTube a little while, and she found this one channel who likes to eat characters and random shit like glass or like giant orifices that have formed on your foot, and it's like eating giant pimples. Like, what are you doing? Like, you freaking it's disturbing on another level that I can't even describe, and I will put it in the comments because I endorse this kind of conflict that has been going on in my mind's orifice. But otherwise, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Like, my brother has been going on a meat rampage recently. He's been getting lots of meat, so much meat from the big store, man. And he brings it all home. He brings all the meat home, and then is like, and he's like Scooby-Doo up in this donker, and he's like, "What are you, like a big meat chunk?" And I'm like, "What the heck are you doing, bro? What are you doing?" And he's like, "Good meat, good beef chunks, beef." And he's like, "What's going on?" And he brings out the big old brown bag from the grocery store. And he's like, "You want some meat chunks? You want some meat?" And I'm like, "Nah, bro, I'm good, bro." And he's like, "Oh, more meat sticks for me." And he takes out the meat sticks and he starts deep throating them. He goes big on Goofy Town on this bonker. Like harder than like Mickey Mouse up in this crunk, and he's going like, and to give you the perspective of a meat stick, he's like, he goes real deep inside, and then they're gone like that. He shoves them up his nostrils. He gives a good sniff, and they're gone. You won't ever see him again. Sometimes I assume when he's in the bathroom and he's going out the big donkers out of his trunkle, you kind of assume like, oh man, does it come out all fully formed, like undigested? Like that's kind of crunky up in this crunk, and you remember childbirth? You remember childbirth? You remember when you were born? 'Cause I have a hard time remembering anything from my childhood. Like the older I get, the harder it'll be. But even though not to name any names or anything like that, but there's someone I know who has chronic fever side slipping. Remember your days back on Xbox? Remember when you weren't just like... Remember when you didn't have an opinion and you just had an Xbox 360? Remember that? Remember those good old days? Because I kind of look back on those days and I'm like, what was I doing? I had no friends. I mean, it's still kind of foggy on that aspect of things, but like, I had no distinguishable friends, even though I thought they were. And even though every time I logged in to his Minecraft server and I wanted to show them the glitch where it's like, oh wow guys, look, if you put the pistons like this and you put the glowstone like this, you can do the X-ray glitch. And they were just like, "No, get out of this Goofy Town up in here," and then they kicked me out. I was like, bro, why would you do this? But instead, like, we're talking about Xbox here, so it sounded more like,
"Why would you do this? I'm trying so hard to try and get into Minecraft server."
And then they don't listen to you. And you're going up hard, and you're like,
"You
want to get back in, but it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. They don't let you back in." hate babies? You ever hate babies as much as I do? I don't think you do, bro. Like the very fact that Mickey Mouse has to deal with this every time he gets up at Mickey Mouse Clubhouse is astonishing to me. Or Dora the Explorer, like, oh my goodness gravy, bro. Like, do you even realize how annoying children are? How disgusting they are? Like, despite the fact that I just talked about, like, Boss Baby. Babies have, like, no manners. They freaking scream when they don't get what they want, and then you gotta beat the shit out of them. You gotta, like, get down, and you're like, just freaking, just stop being so annoying. And they're like, and you're like, well, can't you just be donkey? Like it's such an extreme degree. Like, I admire my childhood so much for them having to deal with me in the way they did, because I'm fed up with children. I hate children. They're disgusting. I hate babies most of all. They are even worse. I had a baby over to my house recently, and I just made a face at them, and they started crying. Like, why are you so rude? I'm trying to make you laugh and cry and shit yourself so hard that you laugh and cry, but instead you're just crying and not laughing, and it's so annoying. Why can't you just find me humorous? And it's so freaking annoying. Like, just cry and laugh at what I do. You know, just on a certain level, it makes you think, like this whole baby situation, it can only be caused by the sovereign government. Have I ever told you about that? Like, this serious degree that the sovereign government has just infiltrated, like, everywhere. You know, why are you here? The sovereign government. Why did your mom just leave and not get you Krispy Kreme? The sovereign government. Why is your pea green and not yellow? The sovereign government. Why did your aunt and uncle come into your house, have sex with your dog and cat, leave without any kind of recreational letter of approval? The sovereign government. So, all I'm trying to say is, if you ever have problems or anything that you're dealing with, just kind of come to the conclusion that it was the sovereign government. It's always the sovereign government. It always has been the sovereign government, and it always will be the sovereign government. So, if you disagree with me and you don't see the point I'm trying to make, if you don't see the evidence that I've just provided to you, then I'm just going to assume that you're a provider of the sovereign government's ways, and that you're an influencer of the sovereign government's ways, and that you must be executed for your crimes against humanity, and that I am probably part of the sovereign government. I just realized that I'm going to have to execute some part of they put chips in my brain, not the kind of delectable good chips that you dipped in delectable good dip that you have a good time with. No. This is this kind of situation where it's like, oh no, what am I possibly going to do if I don't have the sovereign government? And you say that without even realizing it, and you're just like, no! They've infiltrated my mind again, bro, again! And you're like, no. This can't be good. This can't be good for my environment. This can't be good for my health. It's time I make a stand. It's time I make a stand with my brothers and sisters against the idea that I can, you know that commercial where it's like, if you can buy insurance by company and car insurance of car of bakery, then you can go buy horses and not say horses. It's like that. You can go out your daily life without thinking about the sovereign government. And that is something I need to get over. Now, if you don't mind, I'm just going to be doing a few push-ups. A few sit-ups. I'm going to be lifting some weights right now. 1, 2, 3. I've been having trouble with motivation lately. You know, that's why I gotta fit into my daily life. You know, I gotta fit this schedule that I've had in my brain recently. Like, I'm trying my best to just do what I want to do and try my best to be the best me I can be. But it's hard when nobody's around and you don't ever think that there will ever be consequences for the things you do. When it ends up that there are, and you just feel bad for yourself, and you don't want to feel that way, even though you just continuously keep doing this, and it keeps getting worse. And you wanna go to bed, but then that one video pops up, and you're like, oh man, I could just watch that one, and you end up watching about 100 before you go to bed at 5 a.m. And you gotta stop. You gotta go to bed. You gotta stop waking up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon the next morning, and then you end up going back to that little screen of yours, and you're like, just one more. I just gotta watch one more. Like, why are you watching this? Do you have literally no life that you have to speak of, that you just continuously keep going back to this, and you don't ever stop? And do you have nothing better to do with your life? You're tired right now. I know you are. Why are you not in bed? And there's no good reason. There's never any good reason. It just happens because there's no one around to tell me that it's bad. I'm even though I should be mature enough to be able to tell my own brain, this is very immature. If picture like somebody like is always watching you, just like is always like you got this fictional guy who's just always watching and silently judging you. Like, I don't think that even works for me anymore, because this guy has been watching me so long that I don't even care he's there. And so I've just reached the point where I forget he's even there. I just exclude him from the group. I don't invite him to the parties anymore. You'd think he was your friend this whole time, but he wasn't. That's what you convinced yourself. He's not your friend. You don't know him. He's like your grandparents, where it's like, I don't really know who you are. You shot me to, you taught me to shoot a gun once, and that's about it. But otherwise, I don't really know you that well. And your parents are telling you that you need to know these people, that you're related, and therefore you need to be friends with them. And it's like, I don't even know who they are. Why are you telling me to do this? I don't know. I don't know them. I don't know them. Stop treating me as if I should know them. And they go off and talk to their parents, and we children are meant to go off and talk to each other, and yet it ends up that they're just like, so you know how to fight, and you say like, oh man, I think I know how to fight. Yeah, sure, why not? And they're just like, so you want to fight then? And I'm like, what is this, Fight Club? And then you're like, okay, sure. And then it turns out they know ninjutsu. They know like full on senkaka. Like they go Goofy Town on me. Like they beat you, and then you're just like, that really hurt. I don't really do this. I'm crying right now, and they're just kind of staring at me. And this reminds me of the situation where I beat up my brother when I was really young, because we were role playing as him being the evil villain and me the hero, because I'm such a good person. And then he continuously does the evil laugh, and then I keep punching him, and to the point where he cries, and it makes you kind of question, was I the villain the whole time? These are the kind of storylines that we need, people. These are the storylines that we need in the movie industry, and that they're not giving us, bro. That's why I don't consider myself, a weeb or anything, or anything of the sort, because listen, the storylines, like, I'm actually there for the plot. Like, I'll be real with you. I don't find many Hollywood's things to be very interesting anymore. So I honestly watch anime. I'll be real. I watch anime for the plot, and not for the other plot. only for the one plot and not the other one. The other one is kind of cringy. I'll be honest. I'm just not one for those. You know, I'm not one for the and I'm more for like, you know, subtlety. You know, the characters are you know That's what I coom at, not the other coomers. But it's all a matter of perspective in the end of the day. You know, you enjoy being a coomer. I'll enjoy cooming at other, I guess, coomable things. Now that I think about it, why am I cooming at the plot? This is very strange. But, in other news, I had a dream last night. I just remembered. I had a dream. Actually, I can't remember it at all. But I think, if I'm remembering correctly, I think my dog was there, and he was walking upright, and he was like, "Hello, how are you?" And you know, me in the dream, I was flabbergasted. I didn't know what to think. I was like, "What? This is like a Mickey Mouse moment. Like, who? Why are you upright? Why are you like some kind of cartoon character? How are you doing this?" And it was like, "Beats me, brother. However, you must know that we will need to work together." And I was like, "What are we gonna do?" And it was like, "I can't say yet. However, we need to be able to work together, and you need to be able to understand that this situation is a lot more consequential than you may think." And I was like, "Okay, well, you're my dog, and I guess I'll listen to what you say." And like, this is one of those dreams where it's like you're back in time, but you don't acknowledge that you're back in time until like the very end of the dream, where you realize it's a dream, and then you wake up. Like, this is one of those situations. So like, we like walk outside. We walk outside the house, and he's like, "Just look there." And I don't see anything, and I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "What? You are blind to it?" And I'm like, "What is happening? This is really goofy." Like, and he's like, I'm like, what is happening? This is so strange. And this whole time he's just like, "What? You are a fool!" And then he turns on me, and he slaps me in the face, and he takes out his big doggy claws. He takes out this sword that looks like a dog paw, and he takes out this other one, and it's just like a corpse of a dead cat, but it's like sharp. And like, this is so strange. What is even happening? And he comes over, and he stabs me, and I'm like, "Ah!" But then I don't feel any pain. And I'm like, "What?" And I look down, and I don't have a lower body, and I'm just a head with like my upper torso, like not my lower rib cage or anything, just my upper torso, like my esophagus is sticking out, like as if my skin were still there, and then I have like my arms are also there, except my fingernails like curl back into my knuckles, and it's like, what is happening? And at this point, he's just like, "So you are the one," and I'm like, "What? At this point, it got so strange that I was just like, "I'm pretty sure this is a dream." And that was the moment where I realized I was in the past, and that my dog is dead. And I was like, "Oh, so this isn't happening." And then I woke up, and I was like, "Well, I want to dream more about that." So I went back to sleep, and then I had another dream about something else that I can't remember about, because that was the one that was stuck out to me most. I'm paraphrasing most of it, because I don't exactly remember. I just remember certain points of it. But otherwise, this happened in my head, and my brain is like a scrambled egg, and I'm very contorted to why this would happen. But otherwise, I kind of thought about like, why do the kids always like, they try to stick their fingernails inside the sad sockets in the walls? Like they're always just there, and they're always just like, oh, gosh, and they're eating their bologna sandwich filled with like, not mayonnaise. They're filled with mayonnaise. Did I ever tell you that? I made my house into a restaurant once, and it sold pretty well. Like all my mom like called over all the people from our church at the time, and I called it what was it, the dinosaur cafe or something, because as a small child, dinosaurs are mega cool, my guy. So I had them all come over, and they were all there, and I was like, wow, this is actually working out. And then our pastor at the time, she was like, I want stone soup, and I don't think I came up with what was on the menu. So I was like, okay. So I went over and I told my mom, like, she wants stone soup, and she was like, oh, okay. And so she put a literal little boulder in a bowl of hot water, and she just gave it to the pastor, and she was like, this is pretty good. And I was like, ha, yeah, I made it, even though I didn't. I was a little shit and I was lying. I mean, the whole situation, I found myself to be a very good cook at the time. So I kind of thought like, well, if I'm so good, I guess I should start making my own kind of food, I guess. So I still do. I don't make food, though. I make smoothies. I think I have a natural talent for that, because I'm like, here we go again, but I'm like Remy in a certain way, where like I'll taste something and I'll be like, no, this needs like more banana, for example, or raspberry, and so I'll put raspberry, and I'm like, that's pretty good, and then my mom will agree, and we'll both have a good time as we eat big banana raspberry soup with little cheese.